Hi, I'm Justin with Tab Performance, and today I'm going to walk you through the installation of a Tab Performance 2-2 head pipe on a Harley-Davidson touring model. The first step is to remove the bags. So to do that, we'll just open them up, and there'll be two little thumb screws. Just twist them counterclockwise, and then you can lift your bag. Actually, I have to. Alright, now using a 1/2 inch socket, we're going to remove these two bolts. Now we're going to go ahead and loosen the exhaust clamp using a 9/16 inch socket wrench. Alright, now we're going to grab the exhaust from the back end. We want to make sure it's nice and cool, and then you're going to just turn it and wiggle it a little bit, and it should slide off. Alright, now we're going to remove the right side floorboard. To do this, we're going to use a 5/16 Allen wrench to remove this and this bolt. For this front bolt, there is a nut on the back side, so you might need a 9/16 inch crescent to hold that in place. Now it's time to remove the O2 sensors, both the rear and the front. We'll use a 9/16 inch crescent wrench to do that. Alright, once you've got the O2 sensor unscrewed, you can remove it and just set it off to the side here. You do want to be a little bit careful with these sensors. They're fairly sturdy, but you don't want to damage them. Alright, now we're going to remove the crossover pipe. To do that, we're going to loosen this exhaust clamp using a 13mm socket, and then this bracket as well. Alright, now we're ready to go ahead and remove this crossover. Again, we're just going to kind of wiggle and twist and pull. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and remove this bottom bolt that clamps the head pipe to the frame. So we're going to use a 9/16 inch socket for that. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and remove the flange nuts for the engine mount. There's two, one here and one here on the other side. It's a pretty tight fit. You can remove the heat shields if you like to get a little bit more room, but you just use a 1/2 inch socket in there. Alright, now we're going to get the bottom one there. Once you've removed both of the nuts, we'll take that clamp and just move it, pull it forward off the bolts. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and remove the rear flange. So again, it's just a 1/2 inch. A short crescent will give you a little bit more room in here. Okay, for the top one, I was able to use a shorter socket with an extension to get past that heat shield. Now we're going to go ahead and just pull, same as we did on the front. Once we've got the two nuts off, we're just going to push this forward, kind of get it off the bolts. Okay, now we're ready to pull off the stock head pipes. So again, just get a good grip. You probably noticed when we pulled that last flange loose that it already dropped a little bit. So just real carefully, because you don't want to scratch any of your engine or any other components. We'll just pull that off like that. Okay, now that we've got the stock head pipes off, we're going to go ahead and remove these gaskets and replace them with the supplied Tab Performance conical gaskets. It's always a good idea when you're changing a head pipe to put in new gaskets to make sure you avoid any exhaust leaks. Alright, So now that we've removed the stock gasket, you just want to make sure that you got all of it out, there's nothing remaining, and we're ready to install our conical gasket here. So with these you want to be really careful, because what can happen on a conical gasket, if you don't get it installed properly, it can bunch up and kink and restrict flow, and then you can also get an exhaust leak. So what you want to do is just by hand kind of get it started where it's okay. We're going to use the factory flanges and rings, so we'll pull that off the stock exhaust. You can use a couple of pair of pliers, but if you've got a ring clamp puller, it makes it a lot easier. And then that'll just slide off there. Okay, now we're going to put those stock exhaust flanges on the Tab Performance head pipe. So what you'll do is just go ahead and first slip this over. You want the machined out part to face outward, so it'll slip on like that. And then again, you can use a ring clamp tool or some pliers to just get it over there. And then when you're done, that retaining ring should fit inside and keep that exhaust flange on like that. So we'll go ahead and do the other side next. Alright, while we've got the head pipe off, we're going to go ahead and put in the O2 bung plugs. So you just need to decide if you're going with the aftermarket 18 millimeter bung or O2 sensor. You'll install them here and here. If you're going to keep the stock O2 sensors, which are the 12 millimeters, you'll install those O2 sensors here and here and plug the opposite one. So we're going to keep the stock O2 sensors for this installation, which are going to go in the 12 millimeter bungs. So we're going to use the supplied gaskets and plugs for the 18 millimeter O2 sensor bungs. Alright, now what we're going to do is use a 1/4 inch Allen wrench to remove this factory mounting bracket. Alright, now we're going to go back through and tighten up all of our fasteners. We'll use a torque wrench as per the instructions to tighten to between 100 and 120 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, so the first one we want to tighten down is the P-clamp pinch screw, and we want to tighten this to 76 foot-pounds torque. We'll use a 7/16 inch crescent to hold the backside, and then a socket on the Okay, we're going to want to wait to tighten the exhaust clamp up until after we've gotten the slip-ons and the mufflers installed. So next we'll move on to the muffler installation. Alright, now what we're going to do is go ahead and install the worm gear ring clamps to the heat shields. We'll start with the front heat shield. What you want to do is make sure that the screw for the worm clamp faces either the front or the bottom. So on these front two, you're going to have them facing so they'll be front of the bike, and then the back two down towards the bottom. Okay, to make it easier to install, once you've got them all on there, you just bend them out a little bit. That'll make it easier to slip over the head pipe. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for the rear heat shield. The only difference on the rear heat shield is we'll want the screws for the top two facing backwards, and then the rear one will again be down. So again, okay, now that we've got the mufflers on and the heat shields on, what we're going to do is just make sure that everything's kind of lined up in line with where we want it, and then we're going to go back through and tighten all of the heat shield clamps on all three heat shields, as well as the three exhaust clamps, both for the crossover and the two muffler sections. Then we'll be ready to wipe everything down and get the bags and the footboard back on.